Okay, for centering, you just take a nice round mound of clay and you want to slam it on the wheel. So you're just going to slam it on the wheel. And then you will, the idea is to kind of click the clay into the middle of the wheel. So you want to get it nice and wet with some water, or I use slippy water. So I get the slippy water that I have used before when I throw, and I make my hands nice and wet. And then, so the idea is to kind of push the clay inwards and up, and then down again, and then inwards and up and down. And as the wheel is spinning, it should click sort of into the middle. So yeah, slam your nice round piece of clay onto the wheel head. If it's a slight bit damp, that's good. Doesn't have to be. It can be dry too, but if it's a slight bit damp, sometimes it's a little bit better. So you want to make everything's in line. So my foot pedal is here, and I put bricks on this side so that my knees and my legs are in line, so that everything is in line. My elbows are on my knees. Try to keep your back nice and straight. Have your back straight and your arms over top of the clay. This is the way I find easiest to center. Some people do it differently, but this is how I do it. And you can get your elbows right in between your knees or on top, it doesn't matter. Some people, they like get right over top and they don't even look at the clay, but I actually like to look at the clay. So let's get the wheel spinning, get the wheel spinning really, really fast. And what you want to do first is kind of just smooth out the clay as good as you can, trying to make sort of a cone shape. So just using the palms of the pads of your hands, like the palms and the pads, kind of, I call them the pads of your hands. So you're compressing the clay up and down. So just pushing that clay inwards and up, and then down again. And then sometimes I use one hand on top of the other, so I'll put my fist on top of my thumb, pushing the clay down, and compressing the top, making it nice and like kind of level and flat. One thing about when you're throwing, so you want the mound of clay to like sort of reflect the shape or the form that you're going to make. So if you say you wanted to make sort of a nice low bowl or a wide bowl, this would be a nice shape for that. If I was throwing a mug like this, I would use sort of more smaller, taller amount of clay. This is probably about, I'm guessing this is about 2.5 pounds of clay, so it's a good size for a fair shaped bowl. Mugs are about 1 to 1.5, 2 pounds of clay. So I still need to center this, so I'm gonna, it's almost centered, but you can see right now, you can see there's still a slight little wonk in it. If you run your thumb or your fingers across and watch the lines as they're moving, as you're when you're centering, you can see that they're still slightly kind of got a little kick to it. So I'm going to kind of grab the clay with the edge of my hand and kind of push it inwards and up. Still working to like kind of click that clay right into the middle. Sort of up and down and in until you feel like it has gone into the middle. Make sure you keep your back straight, make sure you're breathing, not holding your breath. Sometimes I'll hold my breath, so make sure you're breathing. It takes a lot of energy, especially if you're centering a bigger piece of clay. So I think it's almost centered there now. There's just kind of some little wobbles in the outside of my clay, so I'm just going to kind of try and compress them just start opening it up and trying to make a bowl or whatever I'm going to make, that I don't want any inconsistencies in my clay. So now it's pretty close to center. Sometimes I'll just take the extra clay off, like there's a little bit at the bottom, trying to make that nice sort of square mound, and just put it back into my bucket. So there's a couple other things that can happen, because I've done this for quite a while now. When you're first learning to center, some things can happen. It's called, they call it a volcano. So you get the hole in the middle. So if you get the hole in the middle, then you can use your one hand on top of the other and just compress the edge down so your mound gets nice and level. So that can happen. So you want to do that to kind of level it out. Also, then there's a thing called the mushroom, which is happening right now because I just compressed the top down. So there's a thing called the mushroom. It's a little, has an indent sort of at the bottom. It's wider, it's smaller at the bottom than it is at the top. So then you just want to kind of put your hands around the outside of the clay and like compress the edges down and around so that they're nice and sort of like that round square. And then I'll use my hand again and compress the top, just trying to make a nice even mound of clay. And now you can see it's spinning pretty nicely. It might have a slight little wonk in it, but I feel like it's pretty good now. So that's how you center clay.